This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey guys, Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk with my weekly vlog right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. And you'll see us on the Roku channel as well. Guys, you know, I got a topic I want to bring up that I'm very passionate about. And obviously in these vlogs, I sometimes go off the handle a little bit. So I hope not to do that today. But if I do, I apologize ahead of time. It doesn't matter to me whether you agree or disagree. Make comments here and tell me. But I want to talk about tanking in professional sports. And who, as the banner says, can possibly think this is okay and how it can be remedied. And I've seen this suggestion in a few places. But before we get into the remedy, let's talk about why would it ever be okay to tank a game? Why would a good fan want his team ever to lose a game? When the Patriots were bad, as a Patriot fan, I've enjoyed a pretty good 2 decades of football. But I can tell you in the 20 years before that, 30 years before that, the Patriots were horrendous. And a lot of years they didn't win a lot of games, but I never once wasn't rooting for them to win. Never. Not to get in a draft position. You know, draft picks are a crapshoot all the time. Remember the debate between Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf? How'd that work out for Ryan Leaf fans and the people who thought, oh, my team should tank to get Ryan Leaf? Just an example. So fans, you should never root for your team to lose. There's no guarantees in the draft. Take your wins where you can get them. Players don't want to lose. Players don't go out there with an attitude that I'm going to lose or need to lose to help my team next year. They don't care. They have pride and they want to win. And if they don't, I don't want them on my team. Coaches definitely shouldn't be ever coaching to lose games. Front offices, they may hope we lose games, but they should not put coaches or players in a position where they are incentivized or encouraged to lose games. Especially now that the NFL and all sports have entered into, entered into partnerships with gambling affiliates. Every major sport is affiliated with DraftKings or somebody. So now you're legalized gambling on the sports, which, by the way, retroactively, maybe Pete Rose could still be back in the game. That's another topic for another story. But, think about it. If you have to wonder whether teams are actually trying to win games and there's gambling going on that is officially sanctioned by the leagues themselves, then you're heading down a slippery slope here, guys. So why would you want your team to lose? How do we stop it? Again, I don't want players on my team who aren't out there to win every time. If they don't have enough pride, whether they got 3 wins or whether they got 13 wins going into that last game or those last couple games of the season, then I don't want them on my team. If I've got coaches that think like that, I don't want them on my staff. And if I got a front office and ownership like that, well, guess what? You are going to be losers and you're going to be tanking for a long time trying to improve your lot in this in whatever league we're talking about. Don't put yourself in a position where you need to be tanking to improve your team, theoretically improve your team. So who thinks fixing's a good idea? Give me your comments. Fixing, sorry, that's a bad term. Freudian slip, I guess, fixing. Who thinks tanking is a good idea? Bad idea. Always a bad idea. And how do you stop it? How do you stop teams? Because there are teams we all know that have laid down not players. Again, I don't think players, for the most part, care about draft position or any of that stuff. They care about wins and losses in their own contract. So they're incentivized to do well all the time by the contract that they have. And they probably ought to be more heavily incentive laden to begin with to increase players' pursuit of greatness. But coaching staffs and front offices who are inclined to maybe go in this direction, leagues have tried forever to figure out how to stop this. The NBA gives a weighted, some kind of weighted system to teams, and you get more ping pong balls if you have this many. You're finishing this position and this many, whatever. It's a very simple solution in my mind to fix this. And I have seen variations of this everywhere. So it's not a unique idea that I've come up with. I've seen it written. I've seen it spoken about. But I firmly believe, and I don't care what sport we're talking about, that this system should be adopted. Now, your playoff teams can certainly go to the back of the pack like they do today. I have no problem with that. But after that, the team that finished the closest without getting into the playoffs gets the number one pick. So let's use football as an example. The 15th best team this year, we need a tiebreaker to figure it out. I don't know who it is, would get the number one pick. 16 would get 2, et cetera, to where number 32, the 32 best team in the league, the team that maybe was tanking at the end of the year now, trying to get the number 1, would have, my math's not great, the 17th or 18th pick. Now you have no incentive to go out there and lose games. You have incentive to continue to try to get to the playoffs. Now, you could tell me, well, teams might tank the last game of the season to be that first team out. But why would you do that? You'd want to get in the playoffs. You wouldn't do that. Maybe if everything was cut and dried by the time your 4:00 game was played on that last Sunday of the season, and you knew you couldn't get in, but you could certainly finish with this first or second or third pick, you might do some shenanigans or encourage your team to do some shenanigans. But look at it, it's going to be, one-off situations, not entire half the league trying to lose games in some cases. And maybe not half the league, but you know what I'm talking about. Multiple teams trying to lose games, trying not to win games, however you want to phrase it. I can't believe the number of fans that I hear rooting for their teams to lose. Oh, then when they win at the end of the year, they go, "We just screwed ourselves up in a draft position. Way to screw up, Jets." It happened to the Jets last year when they fell out of the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes because they won a game at the end of the year. Well, how stupid is that you care more about Trevor Lawrence, who may or may not be a great quarterback, and I think he will be. I was on the record before the season saying he'd be a generational quarterback, and I think he still will be. But I don't know that Zach Wilson won't be as well. And it should never come at the expense of your team trying to win games, because, again, it becomes a very slippery slope before all sports looks like professional wrestling. And you don't know, unless you're watching the best teams play, whether you're watching something that's on the level or not. And how's that going to play with your gambling partners? So I don't think there's any way any reasonable fan, and certainly any successful or want to be successful franchise is going to go out there and say, we need to lose our games here the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, so that we can improve our lot in the lottery, in the draft, whatever we've got going on in whatever sport that we're talking about. So now in the model that I just mentioned to you, The teams that are going to be rewarded with the number one pick are the teams that tried the hardest to get into the postseason but fell just short. And that's the way you'll stop tanking. And that's the way you'll get teams to know that teams are playing for everything they can. Because now, even if I'm down at 32 and I can move up to 33 or 34, well, I am improving my position by winning, not by losing. I mean, look at the system's nuts the way it's set up today. I understand that why the lottery was set up to let the first team pick first, but it wasn't designed so that teams would lose games to enhance their chances of having that number one pick or a higher draft pick. And look, I'm not saying this is a new phenomenon. It's been going on for decades. Decades. I think I can remember allegations of tanking when Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was coming out of college. And I believe it came down to the Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. And they had a coin flip because they'd finished tied. And the consolation, Alcindor, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully we're okay for the rest of this broadcast. Alcindor goes to the Bucks, and the rest was history. So tanking is never good, guys. Nothing's guaranteed. Not coin flips, not number one draft picks, not anything. Go out and win your games and do the best you can do at all times. I mean, that's the rules of life. There's nowhere else in the world, nowhere else in the real world where you go out and you do poorly to improve your lot. It should be that way in sports. You should be rewarded for effort, right? Not pushed down for effort, not rewarded for doing poorly. So let's reward those teams that go out and want to make the playoffs but fall just short, and we'll stop the tanking issue forever. Agree with me? Disagree with me? Please speak up. Roku people, come to Facebook and like TGI Sports Talk, and you can comment there. Post whatever you want on the video. We'll see you later. We'll see you later. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk, right here on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. Have a great weekend.